Hi, this is Brian. Welcome back to Philosopher's Notes TV. Today, we've got another great book, Staring Down the Wolf, by former Navy SEAL Commander Mark Devine, subtitle, 7 Leadership Commitments That Forge Elite Teams. Staring Down the Wolf, this is part 3 of our 4-part Navy SEAL VUCA. Intense Wisdom. We had David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me, Jocko Willink, Discipline Equals Freedom. And now we've got Staring Down the Wolf by Commander Devine. And then we've got next up the story of Adam Brown that Eric Blem tells in a book called Fearless. All these books are so inspiring, so great. Mark Devine, I first was introduced to Mark via his work in Unbeatable Mind. I remember reading that in my office back in the day after I had blown up a prior version of Optimize called Entheos. Took the business from $1 million plus of revenue down to 0 because it just wasn't working the way that I wanted it to work. That left a mark. I needed some mental toughness to pull it to the next level and to really recreate something that I'm proud of, which I'm proud that we've done. In Unbeatable Mind, Mark's book on mental toughness was super helpful at that point. So I loved it, loved Mark. Then I read The Way of the Seal, and somewhere in the process, Mark and I connected. I interviewed him for my show. He interviewed me for his. Came up to Ojai a couple times to visit. Went on some great hikes. Became an investor in our company, Optimize Enterprises, Public Benefit Corporation, VUCA, Commander. And just a dear friend who inspires me deeply is one of Emerson's heroes, Navy SEALs. Anytime I need to say, buddy, what would a Navy SEAL do? I say, what would Mark Devine do? Or Mark introduce us to the guys who run SEAL training down in Coronado. Mike Magarucci. Mags. What would Mags do? What would Commander Devine do? Let's do that now. So when Mark sent me this book, I was fired up to read it. It's awesome. As we discussed, it's all about the 7 leadership commitments to lead yourself first to forge elite teams. Now, one of the things I didn't know about Mark that I was blown away by was the fact that when he went through the BUDS training for Navy SEALs, he was 25 years old. I knew that. He was a little older. He already had an MBA and a CPA. He was working on Wall Street. He said, this isn't my life's calling. This is not my purpose. And he went and became a Navy SEAL, aspired to become a Navy SEAL, which is not guaranteed. You don't say, I want to be a Navy SEAL, and you're a Navy SEAL. He shows up at BUDS Class 170 with 185 what he calls pure studs. These are some of the most well-trained, elite-performing men of that age in the military, etc. 185 people. You know how many of them made it through that rigorous BUDS training, arguably the most brutal training, almost certainly in modern times, and echoes back to the ancient Spartan warriors, etc. 185 started. Guess how many finished? 17. Now, that's an impressive stat. Mark was the honor man of that class. He was the one that they said, and you among these are the best. As his commanding officer who kind of gave him the honor said that you are uncommon, which happens to be the name of his next book, which I can't read, Uncommon. Isn't that an awesome word, an awesome title for a book? Uncommon. Now, I'm sorry, it was 19 people, 185 down to 19. Now, that's impressive that he was one of the 19 and the best among those 19. But what I found even more impressive, and that I did not know, I knew he was the honor man and all that stuff, but when you go through Navy SEAL BUDS training, you are put on a boat crew. And the boat crew is 7 people. It's led by an aspiring officer, right? So there's enlisted, then there's officers, right? There's an officer that's in charge of the boat crew. Mark was that officer. Now, what's most impressive is that out of the 19 people that made it through out of the 185, every single one of his guys made it through. It gives me tears in my eyes. 7, all 7 of the boat crew. Usually people drop off and boat crews are reformulated. Not Mark's. He led them to a place where they all got through. And he tells the story of how he forged his leadership skills in that and in 25 years of entrepreneurial turbulence, ups and downs and spiraling up, 25 years of meditation, martial arts, therapy, all these different things to help us forge our own elite team. So I found that to be particularly inspiring. And I'm excited to share what we've got. So we've got the 6-page PDF as always. We now have 600 of these at optimize.me. Check it out if you haven't yet. join over 10,000 people from around the world, including some of my favorite Navy SEALs, Olympic medal winning coaches, et cetera, but it's time to talk about our favorite ideas here. So, staring down the wolf. This, as you may have guessed, is based on the Native American wisdom that Mark tells the story of perfectly and wonderfully, that goes something like this. The elder says to the young, aspiring leader that within you there are two wolves, the fear wolf and the courage wolf, and they're constantly battling with one another. And the young boy or young man asks, which one wins? And of course, the elder says, the one you feed will win. So the question Mark asks is, which wolf are you feeding? Are you feeding the fear wolf by allowing your anxieties to fester and ruminate and not doing the basic core practices to get yourself strong? Or are you feeding the courage wolf by taking care of yourself, doing the basic fundamentals, eating, moving, sleeping, training your mind, showing up as your best self more and more consistently? We got to stare down the wolf. We have 7 commitments we can make that Mark talks about in the book to win that. And I loved it because I thought about the two wolves, right? And I knew I wanted to teach this in our Optimized Mastery series, which is part of our coach program, 300-day program. The second module is on heroology, the study of a good hero, where I unpack the wisdom of a documentary I'm in featuring Joseph Campbell with guys like Laird Hamilton and Tony Hawk and Deepak Chopra, etc. So we spend a month operationalizing the wisdom from that documentary, which you can check out for free, by the way, on YouTube, Finding Joe. It's awesome. The director did a great job. Right? But how do we operationalize that wisdom? And I knew I wanted to share this story of the two wolves. And so I put it on a piece of paper to make a note. And then on that same piece of paper, right before, I'd captured a different idea for this session, which was learned helplessness versus learned optimism, where Martin Seligman talks about the scientific research that shows that you can make a dog, which he used in his laboratory studies, helpless or courageous, depending on whether you give them a sense of agency. If you feel that you have a sense of agency in your life, then you feel courageous. So we need to feed the good wolf. And the other thing I had fun with was you can name your wolves, right? You got the fear wolf. You can name Demon. You can name your courage wolf Daimon, which is that best version of you that's always whispering there. We just need to pay attention to it. And of course, again, Demon is just the diminutive of Daimon. It's just the little petulant version of you that's always whining and trying to get you to do the less than awesome things. And one more time, the whole game here is don't pay attention to this guy, close the gap. High five your inner daimon. That's the summum bonum of life, etc. Another quick thing on courage and fear. It's not about having no fear. So Aristotle talks about this. The virtue is in the mean. You can have too little fear, and that's a vice of deficiency. It's rashness. Of course, you can have too much fear. I'm sorry, it would be the other way around. You can have too little courage, and then you would be a coward, or you can have too much courage, and then you're rash. The proper relationship is to feel whatever fear is present, and then be willing to act in the presence of that fear, but not as an idiot jumping out of an airplane metaphorically without a parachute. You want to prepare, but you also want to make sure you're feeding the right wolf, which again is what the book, of course, is all about. Then we've got VUCA. Have you ever heard of VUCA? It's a military term. I will share directly from our philosopher's note, pulling from the book. Here's Commander Divine, Entrepreneur Divine, telling us, in the new battleground, the internal terrain of emotional power and mindset is where the creative energy to win will come from. Those require new developmental models to effectively deal with the rapid change and uncertainty. He wrote this before COVID did its thing. You tell me if there's even more rapid change and uncertainty now. After the Cold War, the U.S. Army War College coined the acronym for VUCA, which is, I'll write it down in a moment, the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity of the world. VUCA, which has gained some familiarity in executive suites since. To win the mission in VUCA, leaders will need a next-generation compass, one that helps them to navigate the peaks and valleys of emotional, moral, and spiritual strength. So VUCA You can't see that, but we'll just repeat it. Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Our world has that today more than ever before. Now, when I was preparing for this PNTV after reading this book quite a while ago, I loved the fact that Mark says we need to have a next generation compass to help us navigate the peaks and valleys. And of course, we've been talking a lot about the compass that we're working on, which is the virtue compass. And essentially, that's what all of our work again is doing. And if you've been watching these, perhaps you can complete this on your own. Wisdom, knowing the game we're playing. That all starts with that. Self-mastery, can you get yourself to play that game well right now? Courage, being willing to act in the presence of fear, and then love, which ultimately is what it's all about. And then we got some sub-virtues, but that's the ultimate compass that's going to help us navigate the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. Make virtue your primary goal. Of course, you have other targets in your life, but make that your primary goal. And then keep this in mind. You fall down, rise, stronger. This is from one of the chapters on resilience. Mark talks about his training as a martial artist as a young man before he went into the SEALs, right? And his old school teacher wrote on a chalkboard, kind of like this, squeaking with the chalk. Hopefully I'm not squeaking too much. Fall down 7 times, rise 8. And Mark says stronger. In the note, I reflect on the fact that Angela Duckworth, the leading scientist studying grit, says if she was ever going to get a tattoo, she would get those words indelibly inked on her body. Fall 7, rise 8, stronger. Ultimately, that's what it's all about. Stare down the fear wolf. Have the courage to show up. Be anti-fragile. Be gritty. Know that obstacles make me stronger. Ohms, right? Again, we've got our coaches doing that chant at our graduation weekend. And Mark joined us as a luminary visiting faculty in our Optimized Coach program. Check out his session where he talks about these ideas. Coaches are coaches one-on-one. Optimize.me/coach for more on that. The next class 3 just launched. We're super excited. We've got over 2,000 coaches in our program from over 70 countries around the world. And I'm all in. Getting to 10,000, getting to 100,000. We know this is one of the ways we're going to change the world, is how do we empower leaders to go be the best version of themselves and boom, ripple out. The next class starts on January 1st, 2021, and then one starts every quarter. If that sounds like fun, join us and learn more about Mark's wisdom in that context, and obviously go to unbeatablemind.com, and he's got his own coach program, which is awesome. Everything Mark does, you need to check out. Semper Gumby is the next idea. So Mark tells us the Marines' slogan is Semper Fi, always faithful. Just always faithful. On the ground, going to battle in the hardest trenches, doing what needs to get done. Semper Fi, always faithful. The SEALs are a little counterculture, so they say, playing on that with a nod and a wink and a respectful little elbow tap, Semper Gumby, always flexible. This is another aspect of resiliency and plasticity and being able to adapt to your situation. When life changes, we change. We're not rigid. Gumby, you can twist Gumby into some crazy positions and boing, he'll bounce back. Mark said he felt like that most days when he was serving as a SEAL. Boom, life's challenging you. The SEALs need to be always flexible, always rebalancing themselves whatever life demands. So when life blows up in front of you, what do? Are you brittle and do you break, fragile style? Are you resilient and you can sustain it? Or are you anti-fragile and actually get stronger by leveraging your Gumby flexibility? All of that leads us to Mark's final point in the book, and I'm actually going to read another passage from him. The question is, as you listen to this, what are you here to do? A. B, what do you need to do right now? What's the number one fear wolf that you need to stare down? What is it that's putting the brakes on your momentum, on your velocity, on your soul force power in your life? Mark tells us to end separation from others, we must first end it in ourselves. We must stare down the fear wolf, wake up to our innate goodness and connection to one another, and reach the integrated 5th plateau of development. He talks about different stages of development. So, yeah, he says, The fate of humanity does depend on you and me. The way to global wholeness is to first become whole ourselves. The fate of the world literally depends on us. If you aren't going to be great, if you're not going to serve heroically and have the strength for two, then who? If you haven't noticed, our world needs heroes today more than ever before, as we always say. We live in a virtuous world. Nothing's new about that. That's why the ancient stories in all philosophical and religious traditions were always vice and virtue. But we need you to put your thumb on the scale of virtue and be the best version of you, so we can, again, change the world one person at a time together, starting with you and me and Commander Divine. Hoo-yah today. Hey guys, this is Bri. I hope you enjoyed that video. We have a lot of people ask us what Optimize is all about, so I just wanted to give you a super quick tour of our site, tell you what we do. We do two primary things. We have an Optimize core membership, and we have an Optimize coach certification program for people that want to go from theory to practice to mastery. So the core membership is basically $10 a month, depending on whether you do monthly or annual, and you get instant access to over 500 philosophers' notes, the 6-page PDF, 25-minute or so MP3 recordings of these great books. And then you get over 1,000 Optimize Plus ones, 50 Optimal Living 101 masterclasses, etc. And we have a free trial the team set up. Get it, free for 14 days, and then go from there if you like it. So we're blessed to have a lot of people who subscribe to this, including some of my friends who happen to be some world-class peak performance gurus like Tal Ben-Shahar, who taught two of the largest classes in Harvard's history, starts every day with Optimize. Ben Greenfield, friend and coach. Optimize is, bar none, my go-to source for taking a deep, efficient dive into some of the world's best books via the Philosopher's Notes. It's an indispensable resource. Thank you, Ben. Marcy Shimoff loves Philosopher's Notes. Mark Divine, retired U.S. Navy SEAL commander, dear friend, who starts his days with Optimize Plus One. Win in the mind routine to charge him up for the day's battle. If you're serious about leading heroically, I recommend you use them too. Hoo-yah, thank you. And 10,000 plus other awesome humans around the world. That's the core membership. Then we have, and I should say we have apps. Excuse me, you can get apps, iOS and Android. We feel pretty proud and blessed to have basically a 4.9 ranking and people saying some great things. You can check that at optimize.me/apps. And then our coach program is all about helping you master yourself so you can serve heroically, so you can empower others to do the same. We have trained over 1,000 Optimized coaches from over 50 countries. And really excited about this. This is one of the core levers for us to fulfill our mission to change the world one person at a time together, starting with you and us today. We've been told that, here's one little thought, and we have hundreds of testimonials you can check out about how it's transformed people's lives. And if you want to be a coach, your coaching practice. Now, half of the people who do this want to be coaches. The other half just want to master their lives. But Barb, a coach of ours, says, I already had 2 coaching certifications, but Optimized Coach was indisputably the most valuable I have taken. Thank you, Barb. Honored to be part of your life. You can learn more about what we're doing with Optimized Coach at optimize.me/coach. There you go. Hope you're doing great. Look forward to sharing more with you soon. Have an awesome day. See ya.